And now, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you our singing star, Miss Kitty Reed.
Hello world, this is Miss Kitty Reed. Lila and I are here in the 4th year of Miss Kitty Reed to discuss Amish Secrets by Marta Perr, published in 2020. 10 years ago, Rachel Hertz's mother died, and because of pressure from her father and her own sense of duty, broke her engagement with Jacob Byler to help raise her 2 younger brothers. Now, with her brothers grown, her father announced he was getting remarried, and Rachel suddenly found there was no room in her own home for her life. She takes a job as a live-in housekeeper for Geraldine Withers, a wealthy, elderly, single woman living alone. Her mother had the same job, and Rachel came with her during the summer, meeting Miss Geraldine's niece Julianne and nephews Richard, William, and Gerald. William, once the most promising and Miss Geraldine's favorite, ran away from his family years ago. Rachel finds to her dismay that Jacob is working for Miss Geraldine as well as a handyman and restorer of woodwork. Jacob still remains angry with Rachel, his heart still broken and resentful. He thinks Rachel is too quick to people-please and put everyone else's needs above her own and her love for Jacob. Rachel thinks Jacob is too opinionated and critical. They are sometimes awkward around each other, sometimes like old friends, and sometimes arguing about the past. Miss Geraldine's daughter-in-law and wife of Richard, Lorna, arrives and tries to convince her to move into an assisted living home. Miss Geraldine tells her off for that. Although she had told Lorna she was safe living with Rachel, later that day she falls down the stairs. Jacob discovers that someone put wax on the stairs to make them slippery. Miss Geraldine's niece, Julianne, and her 11-year-old daughter, Holly, arrive without any advance warning. Julianne leaves Holly with Miss Geraldine while she goes off to find another husband. Holly frequently complains about being left behind in strange, boring places, but beneath the surface feels abandoned by her mother. Holly runs away but is found stuck on a ledge down a chasm in the quarry on Miss Geraldine's property. Rachel helps get her out. As Miss Geraldine, Rachel, Jacob, and Holly try to settle into a new routine, they encounter Richard, Miss Geraldine's nephew, who is a real estate developer, and his son Ricky, who Holly becomes infatuated with. Rachel goes to the attic to get something for Miss Geraldine, and on her way back, falls down the staircase, hitting her head. A step which had recently been fine was tampered with and only held by 1 nail, causing Rachel a very dangerous fall that could have been worse if Miss Geraldine had been the one to go to the attic. Rachel also meets Gerald, another nephew who is a ne'er-do-well with no job, frequent get-rich-quick schemes, and frequent visits to Miss Geraldine to ask for money. On a day he comes, some money from Miss Geraldine's cash box in the kitchen goes missing. His mother, Frida, comes over to try to figure out what Gerald will be getting in Miss Geraldine's will. Rachel has been having nightmares of being chased in the woods behind Miss Geraldine's house, and it seems as if it is a memory rather than just a dream. She discovers a window has been forced open one day. On another occasion, she wakes up in the night to noises downstairs. She and Holly creep downstairs, seeing a shadow of a person in the kitchen. Rachel knocks a vase over accidentally, and the person flees. The police arrive, and it is discovered that nothing was stolen, but the burglar was likely looking at Miss Geraldine's will. Jacob discovers that the oil stain Frida and Gerald's car leaves when they visit has returned to the driveway after the break-in and is also discovered on a road leading to the abandoned quarry. This might be why Rachel has felt like someone has been watching her in the woods. After telling this to Miss Geraldine, Gerald's plan to convince her to lease the quarry and for him to get a kickback is revealed. Rachel follows Holly into the woods after Holly went in without waiting for her one day. On the edge of the quarry, she finds Richard, who has been watching her. He tells her he thinks Holly fell in the quarry. Rachel can't see her in the deep chasm, so Richard tells her to come closer to him and look down. Richard tries to push Rachel into the quarry. The nightmares and memories flashing through her mind had been of Richard, who, while roughhousing with his cousin William, pushed him into the quarry, killing him. Richard thinks no one will believe it was an accident, so he disposes of William's belongings and writes a note saying he was running away from the family. Richard was always worried Rachel would tell, but she blocked it out of her mind. Richard's wife Lorna had put the wax on the steps and loosened the stair Rachel fell off of to get Miss Geraldine in a nursing home so Richard could develop the land, unknown to Richard. At the last moment, Holly and Jacob come to Rachel's aid, getting Richard to let Rachel go. Richard throws himself into the quarry. After the police retrieve the remains of both Richard and William, the group has time to breathe. Holly will be staying with Miss Geraldine throughout the summer, and Rachel and Jacob want to stay at the house to take care of them. Rachel and Jacob admit their feelings and agree to try again. The end. What a story! It was interesting that there was not just one culprit, but several in the family who were responsible. I couldn't believe Richard almost killed Rachel. That came out of nowhere. I like exploring this area of Amish fiction, that of romantic suspense. The suspense aspect was a little light, and the secrets were not actually being kept by the Amish characters, as the title might imply. The tense feeling and quick pace of thrillers was absent here. During the long stretches between the crimes against Miss Geraldine, you could forget the book was supposed to be suspenseful. However, for people coming in from very sweet and uplifting Amish romance, going light on the suspense is good. This book has some unique and truly memorable characters. Miss Geraldine was independent and no-nonsense, but we did get to see her vulnerabilities. Holly was a truly great character. She is rude, lacks maturity and a sense of responsibility, and creates lots of work for other people. But she's also a little girl who's wounded by her mother's abandonment and lack of attention. She has never had a stable life and never feels like she can relax and settle in at any one place. She is really just an 11-year-old girl who loves to play and explore and take care of Rachel's brother's baby with another Amish girl. In the Amish genre, we are used to seeing children who are perfect angels, nothing like those spoiled English kids. But in Holly, we see an actual girl. A girl who needs to learn and needs firm boundaries, but needs love and attention as well to help her grow. I really enjoyed seeing such a different relationship in Amish fiction with Rachel and Jacob. Sometimes Amish fiction can fall into the trap of Christian fiction in general, making the characters too perfect, not willing to explore real issues and emotions for fear of portraying characters that, like everyone, are sinful and complex. Rachel and Jacob argued, yelled at each other, overreacted, ignored each other's perspectives, got mad, got sad, and regretted their past. Neither were perfect. Rachel could have tried harder to follow her heart and marry Jacob 10 years ago. Jacob could have tried harder to find a way to marry her while respecting her duties to take care of her family. The relationship and interactions felt so real, and it was refreshing to see harsh reality depicted in Amish fiction. However, I do not think Rachel and Jacob resolved their issues. At the end of the book, Rachel still puts everyone's needs way before her own, and Jacob still has a temper and thinks he's always right. What would have made their marriage 10 years ago a struggle is still present. They really didn't grow besides becoming more tolerant of each other, but they did not actually improve, and the issues they still recognize will still be present. I give this book a 5 out of 7. This was a fresh, new story that readers from multiple genres will enjoy. This has been Amish Book Club. This is Miss Kitty Reed and Lila. See us next month for Christmas in July.
Living in the rhythm that I'm speaking of. You'll be happy in your work if you're in love. You'll be happy in your work if you're in love.